Uh, what, what have I done? I've bought so many controllers. I have 5 different GameCube controllers. What am I doing with my life? I don't know why I bought all these. I could have spent it on charity or something. I can't remember why I bought all of these controllers. I don't need all of these. Oh wait, that's it. I bought them for a review. I was gonna make a review all about the different third-party controllers you can get for the GameCube.
Alright, all jokes aside, guys. Hey, it's me, Shock from Shock the Block. And today, we are talking about GameCube controllers. But not official original ones, because these are actually hard to get your hands on nowadays, because they're usually about 30 to 40 bucks. I was lucky enough to pick up this nice platinum one for 25. No, today we're talking about third-party alternatives. Like this one from XYAB. Yeah, that's a company name, XYAB. That's pretty weird, isn't it? What kind of name is that? I guess it's a cool, interesting name. How about Old Skool? Yeah, with the K. So edgy and cool, guys. I'm gonna buy from Old Skool. I bet they make great controllers. I don't know. I haven't really sampled this one before, but I heard their Game Boy Advance Hori imitation GameCube controller isn't very good, so yeah. I don't really have high hopes for this one, but we'll see how it fares. And then we have the Pelican controller. The classic third-party. I guess it's not really the classic, because the classic the classic one would probably be the Mad Catz, but we're not doing Mad Catz, okay? Mad Catz is garbage, okay? Mad Catz is the controller you give your little brother where you're like, oh, you can have this one. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. No, we're looking at this one that's actually not... I don't think it's terrible. I haven't actually played with it since I was a teenager. So I used to use one of these back when I played Brawl on the Wii, and it was decent. It was okay for what it was, and the reason why I had it was because it was wireless, and I really liked that. I was like, oh, it's a wireless controller. It's so cool. But it was just kind of okay. And after a while, I think I started using the normal one because it wasn't the best. It was decent, but it wasn't the best. I can't remember. So that's why we're making this video as well, because I want to experience the Pelican controller again. So let me explain why I decided to do this video in the first place. It wasn't just on a whim. It wasn't just because I'm expecting, Nintendo to make a new Smash Brothers game soon, which they might. They might make a new Smash Brothers whenever they decide to release the Switch 2 or announce the Switch 2. We have no idea when the next Smash Bros. Is coming out, or if they're going to make another Smash Brothers related game, or a game where you'd want to use a GameCube controller. But hey, you people love the GameCube! At least I hope you do if you're watching this video. But if you guys love the GameCube, then you came to the right place, because I'm here to tell you all about how you can get yourself a nice third-party alternative GameCube controller, or at least hopefully you can. I haven't actually tried reviewing these yet, but hopefully we can find something good out of here, because basically what happened was that my original Orange Spice one, it started drifting. This analog stick started drifting and being all weird, and oh no, it doesn't feel right, it's drifting, what's happening, no. And so it was having issues with that, and I didn't like that. I was like, no, I can't use it like I wanted to anymore. I'm like, now I gotta buy a new one or something, or maybe, try to fix it. I don't know how to fix these things. So, what do? You go, okay, where can I find a nice alternative controller? And the first one I heard about was this one, XYBA, or XYAB, whatever. This controller is supposed to be a good alternative, according to one reviewer. I actually watched another review about this too, and they said that it's pretty decent for Smash Brothers, but for Mario Sunshine, he said that the analog stick was a bit iffy on doing precision movement. You can't do tiptoeing as easily. But we're gonna find out if they're right or not. And then I have this controller, which I actually have had for a while as a nice alternative. But the thing about this one, we'll get to this one. This one, I like it. It's a nice alternative, but I don't know. I kind of prefer the original over this one. I kind of prefer the original feel over this one. This is a good controller. Don't get me wrong. I actually like this thing. This thing is a good wireless alternative, modernized controller. I like it. It's a good one to use. I like using it. It's just that I don't know. I kind of prefer the shape and feel of the original a little bit better. But we're gonna find out. We're gonna just, use every single one in this video, and we're gonna find out which one I feel is the best. First, I want to dive into this weird old school one, because this one, I am just expecting it to be bad. Because here's the thing, the reason why I'm not going for the Mad Catz controller or anything else like Krika, there's this one called Krika that I've heard about. A friend of mine had one, and he told me, don't get it, it's not good. So basically, I'm trying to go for quality here and not go for like, oh, this is a third-party controller, look how dumb this is. I'm trying to go for quality because I'm trying to go for the ones that like I personally feel like might actually work for me and might actually be good alternatives, and not just like, oh, look, it's a third-party controller, maybe it's okay. Because like, I already have had experience with the Mad Catz one. I sold that a while back, and I know it's bad. So I'm not even, I didn't even bother buying that again for this video. I only bought what I figured would be of decent or really good quality. So we're gonna find out if I picked right or not. And we're gonna find out if I actually picked good ones. Okay, so let's unbox this, shall we? It's actually really easy to unbox the thing. You just like cut it open with scissors or a knife and pull it out from the front. Nice. Oddly enough, this box is really similar to the XYAB controller, so that's kind of funny. Like, it even has the, like, very similar diagram to the other one, so how about that? Maybe they just, like, found the exact same diagram and copied each other. Okay, we're trying the old school controller, and right away, these buttons feel a little bit weird. Like, they feel a little bit like they just feel cheap. They feel like cheap buttons. They don't feel like the proper nice. They feel kind of flat. Like the A button feels really flat and weird, like cheap plastic. It doesn't feel bad. It just feels weird compared to compared to the regular GameCube controller. B button or A button feels weird. B button feels kind of more normal. It feels normal. A button just feels kind of cheap and flat, like it feels flatter than, which isn't like a bad thing. A button's not terrible. Okay, the analog triggers work. Analog triggers work like they're supposed to. That's good. So the analog stick feels fine. It feels fine, actually. Like it feels kind of like they cheaply made this, but at the same time, it doesn't. Like. It feels like the GameCube controller, but just slightly imitated. It's weird to describe. I think to just describe it would be that the plastic just feels a little bit different, but it's good. It's good quality. It's good quality. It's actually not bad. It's just it's the A button. A button in general just feels a little bit off at first. It just feels a little bit weird. So that's not a big deal. It's functional. It works. I can deal with this. Let's see. Let's see about tiptoeing or moving really slow. Okay, you can tiptoe. You can walk. And the Z button works. Z button is it's a little bit noisy when you press it. It's like it got a very pronounced click there. I don't know. Overall, it feels okay. I think this actually feels pretty good. I think that it feels like a pretty good replacement controller. I feel like this isn't like a bad third-party controller overall. Let me try it in Melee. Melee is a more challenging type of game. Okay. This probably isn't the best test stage, but let's see how this feels. So it's probably not like for Melee Pro players, because I don't feel like I can do a lot of snappy movements. I mean, I can definitely move quickly. Like, I can definitely move quickly, and I can perform all the attacks. So this does work pretty well for Melee. I'd say it's a decent replacement. It feels a little bit off. I feel like the analog stick, I don't know what it is, but the analog stick just feels a little stiff or a little bit weird. It's not bad. It's not bad really at all, but it just feels a little bit stiff or feels a little bit off compared to the original. It's okay. It's decent. Like it feels like a decent, justifiable replacement. It doesn't feel like as correct as the original. I don't know how to describe this. It just doesn't feel quite the same. Like the analog stick just feels a little bit off. Like it feels a little bit like I can't move it as fast and as like nice as I would like to. I can't finesse it like I would normally. If that makes any sense. It feels a little tight. It feels a little tight in the fact that it doesn't want to move like to another spot as quickly as I would like to. I don't know. It feels a little like it feels just slightly off, just slightly weird. But it's fine. Like this controller is fine. It's not terrible. You wouldn't be unhappy if you used this controller. It works okay. So, you know, overall it's alright. It works okay. Maybe I give it like a 7 out of 10. I guess I don't know. It works. It's decent. It does the job. Surprisingly, it's not terrible. Surprisingly, it's actually pretty good compared to like a Mad Catz controller. Okay, controller number 2, the XYAB controller. It feels pretty good at first. I like it. I like the way it feels. I feel like the analog stick definitely feels like a step up from the old school one. It feels better. Doesn't feel as weird or as stiff. But other than that, basically the same kind of deal. The analog works on the triggers. And everything else seems to work just fine. Like it's actually what I've tested with this controller pretty so far on my own time actually, because I wanted to test this one first when I first got it. I kind of lied in the beginning of this video. I have played with this controller quite a bit for a while, and I have to say this one has exceeded my expectations quite a bit, except for one little thing, which of course the guy in his video was right. In order to make Mario tiptoe, you do have to move it ever so slightly. It is really hard to make Mario tiptoe. But I mean, like, when are you gonna do that in this game? I mean, maybe like, I think there is like maybe an enemy you have to tiptoe with, but I don't know. I feel like that was only a thing in Super Mario 64. when there was Piranha Plants. I don't really remember there being a part in this game where you had to tiptoe, if I remember correctly. But I haven't played this in years. And Super Mario Sunshine isn't one I know the best about, so I don't know if there is a part where you have to tiptoe in the game. But yeah, other than that, everything feels great. This controller is great. I think it controls really well and provides exactly what you need. The buttons feel pretty good. The Z button's a little clicky. It has a really pronounced click when you push it. It's a little bit annoying, I guess, but you hardly ever use a Z button for anything anyway, so whatever. I guess you use the Z button for when you grab someone in melee, so maybe that it'd be if like the pronounced click bothers you. I don't know. It's fine. It's not a big deal for the Z button. Everything else feels good. Like the buttons feel like the original controller. Everything feels pretty good. Actually, actually now that I'm looking at it and feeling it, the A button actually is different from the original. I think it's the exact same A button that's in the old school one. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the old school controller uses the exact same parts except for the analog stick, because all these buttons look pretty similar. But yeah, that's not really a bad thing if they use the same buttons, because it works just as good. It works good. It's really good quality. I say it's really nice. Actually, I just remembered a move that I like to do in here. Woo! You spray water around in a circle. I think that's pretty dope that you can do that, even though I don't really know if it really helps at all in the game. I like this controller. It's a really nice GameCube replacement. It's dang near close to the original. It's the closest I felt to the original. I really like it. The old school one, I'd say, is pretty comparable, but the analog stick's a little bit weird feely, but it's not bad. Okay, Pelican controller. Oh, right away, I like the way this analog stick feels. Oh, this is really smooth feeling. It's really smooth. What I don't like is that these triggers are so up in the air. Like, you don't have a nice, like, little area for your index fingers to rest on. They're just always propped up, these triggers, which is a little weird feeling. It's okay. It's not uncomfortable. It's just a little bit different. It's okay though. I don't mind it. Okay, so the analog does work. I just noticed this light comes on when I push a button. That's interesting. Oh, and I just remembered. Oh yeah, there's rumble. There's rumble in these controllers. It has rather pronounced rumble. When Mario does his jumping, I feel a rumble whenever he does his double jump and triple jump. Interesting. Okay. The buttons feel pretty good. Like, they're a little bit different feeling, but they feel good. They feel nice. And, I mean, the only thing that ever bothered me about this controller sometimes was the fact that the C-stick isn't round. Well, I mean, it is round, but it's not, like, it like, comes up, like, concavey. And it feels weird to just touch because it's got this really pronounced, harsh, I don't know, lip. It just feels like weird plastic to me. I didn't really like that all that much. Let's go into an actual level for once. But the C-stick isn't bad. It does the job. It works. It's great. It just might not be what you're used to. Yeah, the Pelican controller, maybe I misjudged when I was younger. I think this is pretty good, actually. Maybe the wireless variant was a little clunkier because this is the wired one. I don't even know where my wireless one went. I still have the adapter for it, but I don't know where the actual controller itself went. I don't know if I still have it or not. But yeah, this Pelican controller made by PDP, actually, because PDP was still around back then. What I mean by that is that PDP is quite a big like third-party controller distributor nowadays. They made like the GameCube lookalike controllers for Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. They made some recent weird controllers for the Nintendo Switch that we're not going to talk about, like the what was it, like there's like that glowy rainbow one, and then there's these really weird ones that have Sonic figures inside of them. Just like, why? Anyway, this feels really nice. Like it feels really smooth. Oh right, the tiptoeing. Actually, I can tiptoe really good. This is actually really easy to do. I don't even have to think that hard about it. So, you know, I just gotta like move it like a little slow, Like just gotta vary my movement just a little bit, and it's all good. It's not that hard. It's a lot easier to tiptoe with this controller than the XYBA. So if you really, if precision or if like sensitivity on the stick is like your goal, I'd say this one takes the cake. This one actually, surprisingly, I think is the best out of both of those in terms of the analog stick. But in terms of functionality, all of them are great. Okay, so we're playing a Game Boy Advance game on the Game Boy Advance interface on my modded GameCube. I'm testing out how the D-pad feels on each controller right now. We're starting off with the Pelican. So yeah, we're playing Comic Zone because I wasn't really sure what game to pick as a good D-pad game. But right off the bat, this D-pad feels so bad on my thumb. It doesn't feel very good on my thumb. Like, okay, so the D-pad is serviceable. It'll do the job, but it feels really, I don't know, it's just really protruding. It's really kind of like, I don't know, cheap plastic feeling. It feels like it's just really pointy. It feels pointy. So I don't know. It's fine. Like I can use it. It's fine, but I don't know. I don't think it can do Hadouken. Okay, so I don't have a Street Fighter game on this cart right now, and I don't really feel like going to get the game. So we're just gonna try Donkey Kong. We'll try a platformer. This is a game that I grew up with, and I played it a lot. I even played this a lot in my GBA back in the day when I had to deal with like long car rides and stuff. So I loved the crap out of Donkey Kong Country 2. It was like my go-to platformer. That's how you do the throw thing. I was like trying to remember which button to do the throw. Obviously, I have to think about it being a Game Boy Advance game that has L and R. It doesn't have X and Y. Duh. Oh snap. But yeah, it actually feels pretty good for a platform. For a platformer, it doesn't feel bad. It works. But I feel like for a fighting game, this would be really, really annoying to use, and it would not be pleasant to use. So this D-pad's just okay. So we're trying the old school D-pad right now. It feels fine. The plastic still feels a bit cheap, but it doesn't feel as bad as the Pelican. The Pelican felt really pointy and weird and awkward, but this one feels fine. Actually, if I wasn't so used to like Game Boy and Super Advanced, Super Nintendo D-pads, I'd almost mistake this for like a really good D-pad and not cheap feeling. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel that cheap. It feels alright. You know, this D-pad is actually kind of serviceable. You know, compared to the D-pad on the original GameCube controller, this is actually pretty good. I feel like I have to push down harder on the D-pad for it to like activate, or it just kind of feels like I'm pushing down like really like I feel like I have to apply pressure, like too much pressure to the D-pad. I don't know. Okay. That's not what I should be saying. I don't have to apply a lot of pressure. I do not have to apply a lot of pressure. What I mean is that when I push on it, it feels like I'm pushing right into this chamber. It feels like I'm doing a very pronounced push, for some reason when it shouldn't really be that much. Kind of like it's more popped out than it should be. It feels weird. This D-pad just feels kind of clunky. But when you have your thumb on it, and you're moving back and forth and using it, it feels fine. It feels fine. It feels good. It feels good to use. And I feel like it feels a little better than the GameCube D-pad, maybe. Okay, so I'm trying out the original GameCube controller right now just to compare the D-pad. And, okay, actually, this feels a lot better. This feels significantly better. And they're about the same size. So, I mean, this feels a little mushy. It actually feels a little mushier on the GameCube one, but it's not bad. This at least feels more like an actual D-pad in a way, but it still feels kind of like cheap plastic in a way, almost. Kind of cheaply made plastic. So, you could use either one. They're both okay. Neither one is terrible. They're decent. They get the job done. Now let's move on to XYAB's controller. Okay, so now the XYAB or XYBA, whatever it's called, controller. And the D-pad pretty much feels identical to the old school. It feels pretty much identical to the old school D-pad. I think they use the exact same parts. It's just this analog stick on this one feels better than the other one. That's the only difference between the old school and the XYAB is the analog stick. XYBA, whatever it's called. The analog stick is better on this one than the old school, but the old school controller is got the exact same parts there. Got the exact same D-pad. Feels the same. It's fine. It's decent. Actually, maybe it's just me, but I feel like this D-pad feels slightly better. It's not as cheap feeling. It feels slightly better than the old school one, and it feels almost more comparable to the GameCube one. So that's actually a big plus to this one. Actually, big plus. So overall, between all of these, I have to give it to it's gotta be one of these two, right? Because these two are the best I've felt. And I really like the way the analog stick feels on this one. The analog stick feels really good on this one. This one feels good too. This one's better for tiptoeing and everything. It's got a nice rubber feel to it. I like that. This one feels just good. It feels just as good. So I'm gonna have to give it to the XYBA, which I'm kind of surprised about because I thought I was gonna give it to Pelican because I thought that maybe that person. I was really expecting that guy who was making that review, like saying this is the best alternative game controller. Oh my gosh! I thought like I was gonna be wrong and I was gonna find a hidden gem here, but no. I think this is the best out of all three of the cheap ones. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the premium, new modernized Retro Fighters GameCube controller. This thing is a whole nother beast unto its own. Okay, so there's a funny story about this controller. When it first released, they had one called the Blade GC, which had the D-pad up here, and it was a little bigger than this. It had the D-pad up here, and the analog sticks were down here, so it was almost like a GameCube PS2 hybrid in a way, because it had the analog sticks down here, and the D-pad up here. And I thought that they were going to just go with that and be like, yeah, we like the D-pad being bigger, here you go. Here's your modern controller, and I was like, okay, I'll still buy it because I like Retro Fighters. And so I bought it, but then a week or so later, they say, oh, actually, we're going to release this one. It's called the Battler GC. And we're so sorry to everyone who wanted to get the other one. We were making this one now, and it's the layout that everyone else wants. That people were crying out, why didn't you make it like this? And it's like, oh, well, here you go. We made it like that now. And it's like, oh, well, I wish you had launched that from the start, so I would have picked this one instead. And so I actually went to them and said, hey, I want to switch it over. They're like, oh, you can switch your order over, yeah. And I even told them everything about it, like told them the order number and everything. But guess what? The guy, the receptionist guy, he didn't listen to my emails. He did email me back, but he didn't confirm for me whether he was going to switch it or not. So I'm just like, what the hell? And then I get it, thinking that maybe he actually did see my emails, but he didn't, because I get it, and it's the Blade GC, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, fine, I guess I'll like it. And then Mad Little Pixel comes out with a video saying that he doesn't like the Blade GC because the analog sticks are weird, and they're not good quality analog sticks, and they're a little bit weird and messed up. And then he says that the Brawler GC's analog sticks are just fine and they're good. They're good to go. And I'm like, what? What? And so I just decided to take his word for it because I know he knows more about that kind of stuff than I do. And I didn't feel like trying to download that tester he had. He had like a controller tester for the GameCube. I didn't really feel like going out of my way to test it myself. I'm just like, you know what? I wanted this layout in the first place anyway. I'll just go with this. So what I did is I sold my Blade GC. Somebody actually bought it, thankfully, and I got this one off of eBay, and I was really happy with it. And so, the thing is, I am really happy with this controller, but do I like it more or just as good as the original GameCube controller? Let me tell you. So, what I really like about this thing is that it works on both the Nintendo Switch, the PC, and the GameCube. It also comes with a 2.4 GHz USB adapter for Switch and PC. And it works on the GameCube with a GameCube 2.4 GHz adapter. But I kind of wish it was Bluetooth, but that's not really a big deal. The D-pad feels amazing compared to the original controller. It feels really good. Like, oh my gosh. Like, it still feels a bit kind of mushy, but mushy in a good way. Like, it feels really good. They nailed the D-pad with this. Oh my gosh, it feels so comfortable compared to the original controller. Like, if you want to play Game Boy Advance games on here with a good controller, and you don't want to go out of your way to buy a Hori controller or the retro bit one where there's no analog sticks, and you want to have like a controller that's just a catch-all controller for everything on GameCube, get this one because this one has a good feeling D-pad. And it doesn't matter that the D-pad's smaller than the one on the Blade GC because it still feels great. It's bigger than the original, and it feels just much better. It feels much better. Oh my god. And this controller does feel very comfortable to hold. I do really like it. It has very nice handles. That's got a lot going for it. So let's play a little bit of Smash Brothers with it and see how it feels. Okay, before we play Smash Brothers, let's just do a little bit of a sensitivity analog stick test. So yeah, I can do the tiptoe really easily. Oh man, I can do the tiptoe really easily. And the rubber on this analog stick feels very nice and comfortable. Very good. Oops. I forgot which button did the ground pound. I'm so used to the ground pound being being on the R whenever I map it on the N64 like emulators. So I'm like, oh, it's the left button, right? And yeah, this has analog triggers. Nice analog triggers. Very reminiscent of the 8-bit Do Pro 2, which I really like actually. Very nice analog triggers. Or I guess more reminiscent of the PS4 in a way. But yeah. The analog triggers work just as good as the original. Very nice. Oh, wait. There we go. I guess I have to kind of, like, really... Okay, I'm not used to the way these triggers are. I guess I had to adjust the way I usually do it. I was like, okay, why can't I move and spray at the same time? I have to barely touch that thing. Okay, the analog is a little bit sensitive. I have to barely touch it to actually let me spray and walk at the same time. If I push it just a little bit too much, then I end up just stopping. I have to barely touch it. So it's a little bit weird compared to the original. A little bit of a learning curve, but it's fine. It's fine. You can get used to it. All the buttons feel great. Nothing feels like cheap plastic. It feels just as good as the original does, with all its buttons, all its plastic, and all its it's very comfortable. Is what I'm saying. It's great. So I accidentally overwrote my Melee file when I was messing with this earlier. As I didn't realize that switching out the memory card, it would ask you like, do you want to overwrite the save file? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? I thought it meant like, do you want to switch to the other save file on this slot? So I said yes, and then I'm like, oh crap! I just messed up. But it's okay. It's okay. I can get back my save file because I know how to do modding on the GameCube save data. So I can just go and download a new save file for it on the internet. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Ah. Okay, I'm not going to use items. But yeah, this feels smooth as butter. Could you play Smash Brothers, like, seriously with it? Absolutely. I feel like this feels really nice. Feels really good. Now, the only thing that I'm not a big fan of is the fact that this controller doesn't have the ridges. Doesn't have like the nice like round circle ridges on the analog stick like this does. And that's just a purist nitpick of mine as a big fan of the GameCube controller in general. And that's why I went out of my way to like get myself a replacement for like when my original started drifting. That's why I went out of my way to get myself a replacement one, because I love the way this analog stick feels so much. I'm a big fan of these circular ridges that have like circle, circle, circle on top of the analog stick. I love that design. I love the way it feels on my thumb. It feels so iconic and so good. This is good too. This is smooth as butter. Feels really nice. I really like the analog stick. It's just not as iconic and interesting to feel on your thumb as the original is. But that's just a tiny little nitpick of mine. Other than that, this controller is perfect and I love it. I think that Retro Fighters nailed it so well. They make such great replacement controllers. It's insane the quality of controller making that they are. I feel like as a company, they're kind of overlooked or underrated a bit. Like there's definitely fans out there and people do highly praise their controllers, but they kind of got a bad rap at first when they made the N64 controller, the Brawler 64, because the first wave of them had some issues, but then they fixed them and they made them great, and the next iterations of that controller are awesome and they work just great, and I really like that one. I didn't like the analog stick of that one, the way it felt as much. It feels good. It feels really good. But just the fact that it's like a weird, rounded, it sticks out a little bit much on the thumb. It's okay. It works fine. It works great. It's a great analog stick. I just prefer the Tribute 64 for the comfortability of that one more. But they're both great controllers at the end of the day. But Retro Fighters really nailed it with this one. This is one of their best controllers. I really like their Defender PS2 controller as well. I feel like that one's great as well. But this one is one of their best they've ever made. I say if you're looking for a good wireless GameCube controller, get this one. This one is the one to get. I don't know what other company makes GameCube replacement controllers that are wireless. I don't think many really do. So this is the one to get. If you don't mind spending, I think like $40 or so, I think it's like 44 maybe, for this controller, for a nice replacement controller for the GameCube, and you want it to be wireless, get this one. This one's great. It gives you the great benefit of using it on the Switch and using it on the PC. You just out of the box, you plug it straight in and it works. You don't have to have an adapter or anything because it has USB. That's an awesome perk of it. I love it for that. Of course, it works with the Wii U adapter for GameCube controllers, so you can use it on your Wii U. You can use it on the Switch that way if you want to. I guess you wouldn't really need to, but yeah, I mean, you can like use it, you know, on a GameCube. I've even tested it with the Mister on a GameCube to USB adapter. That's how I played with this on the Mister. I actually couldn't get the Mister to recognize it in USB mode for whatever reason. That was a little weird. But I was happy that it worked through GameCube mode. So that's good. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video looking at all the different third-party GameCube controllers out there that are of quality. I tried to keep this as a video about the quality ones and not like just a video to hate on crappy third-party controllers. I don't really like seeing those as often to me. I do like seeing people like kind of tear apart stuff and be like kind of like hating on it and be like, this is the worst controller ever. I mean, we kind of got a little bit of a taste of that with the Pelican, I feel like, because the Pelican, it's almost perfect, almost good. I would never call this perfect. I would never call this almost perfect either. I would say it's almost decent. It's almost a nice, decent controller of replacement. But the problem is that the D-pad does not feel comfortable. This C-stick feels a little weird. And the buttons are a little bit weird. But it's fine. It'll get the job done. It's a fine replacement controller. Oh, it has a turbo. I didn't know it had turbo on top. That's interesting. That's neat. Turbo's a neat feature. But, I mean, you're not really going to use it all that much unless you're playing a shoot 'em up, I guess. I guess you could use it for Star Fox. Like Star Fox Assault. Okay, why not? But anyway, Pelican's fine. It's decent enough. But I would take the old school or the XYBA over that any day. The XYBA, this is number 2. This is number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Old school's number 3. This is number 4. This is at the bottom. This is just okay. Just an okay, like it's got a good analog stick for this. It's got decent buttons. It's got a weird C-stick it does the job, but it feels weird. And the analog triggers, they work, but they're a little bit too springy. The D-pad's horrible. So I would just say, you know, unless you like the feel of the Pelican, which, I mean, I just like it because it's nostalgic to me, because I used to use it a lot back in the day. But I would say don't use it. Just avoid the Pelican. I'm sorry, PDP. Just avoid the Pelican. It's okay, but it's not what you want. What you want to get is this one as the cheapest, most easily accessible replacement. You can find this on Mercari for I think like $20. I'll pull up on screen how much I got it for, but it was not that much money. This is the best, most affordable replacement controller you can get. Hands down. This is the one. But this one is the king. This one is the one that is worth your money. Okay? But if you can get an original controller from a retro game store that's local to you and they sell it for $25 like mine did, A1 Trading here in Independence, Missouri, they hooked me up, and this one is great. It's in great condition. It was only $25. That is a solid deal for these nowadays, because whenever I go on Facebook Marketplace or anywhere, it's $30 to $40, maybe even more. That is ridiculous. That shouldn't be the case because these controllers are pretty old right now, but they are highly sought after because you can use them with Smash Brothers Ultimate, and that's a very competitive and very popular game. People love that game, and you can use these on the Switch actually you can use it on the Switch with any game if you have the adapter, which is kind of funny. These controllers are highly sought after, and they work great, and I love them. So I understand why the price is high on them. I understand why people put the price higher than normal for most controllers. But I wish they were just $25 and not 30 to 40. But it's fine. It's fine. We live in the age of retro enthusiasts being like, yeah, this is vintage retro stuff, and if you want it, you better pay up. So that's how it is right now. That's the society we live in. Anyway, this has been Shock from the Shock Block. Sorry for the somewhat unprofessionality of this video. I hope you don't mind. But I feel like I still got my point across pretty well. So next time, I'll try to do a little bit better of quality control here. But anyways, this is Shock from the Shock Block, signing out. So next time, I'll try to do a little bit of better quality control here. But anyways, this is Shock from the Shock Block, signing out. Peace.